Hello there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host, Simon Conboy. This is the last one in this series for now. So final team in the AFC West, the very unfortunate last season, Oakland Raiders. This is going to be a celebration of sorts because I was very glad to see this team finally be competitive, even if I am bitter having my first ever game at the Ray J last year, having been the Buccaneers, losing to them in overtime. This team, unfortunate in that Derek Carr went down right toward the end of the season. They were, potentially going to get a first round bye, win the division. That injury really took away any chance of that happening. As you saw in the playoff loss, just the offense wasn't able to get going without him. Mediocre in the run game. Got some guys there, but nothing spectacular. Particularly, I feel, with that offensive line, you can see there's no top-end running back there. You should have a guy going for 1,100 yards easily with the level of production you get from there. Semele's a good run blocker. Donald Penny's. So that side of things wasn't great, but Carr was very, very productive. Doesn't necessarily throw it deep too much. He's a very conservative quarterback. It's fine though. He's got a decent group of receivers. Amari Cooper tends to be very hit and miss in games. He either goes off or he can be quite quiet. Crabtree really had one of the best seasons of his career. Was very good in the red zone in particular. Got some production from the tight ends, but really Carr made this team go. Was a legitimate MVP candidate before going down. Defensively, not as much talent there. Khalil Mack was your defensive MVP. That's fair. Possibly one of the best in terms of offering fantastic run play. He's a great pass rusher as well. It is a very simple kind of game as well. His pass rushing technique is not the fanciest, but it is effective. He gets a lot of pressure, plays the run fantastically. Great player. Beyond that, I thought the corners played well at the start of the year. That play started to fall off. The rookie safety played well for them last year, Cole Joseph. He looks like he's going to be a pretty good player for them. I think generally this defense does need a fair amount of work. Behind Joseph and Mack, I'm not sure how much else there is to really build on. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. As a result, the team needs I've got for the Raiders going into next season reflects that. I think they could do with another safety, just because I think that's a really good building block to have. I think you can have... Finding corners is going to be difficult for them at this point, although it's a deep draft for them. But I think having a safety there would really help, especially because Joseph's a box safety. They can get a really good free safety. I think that'll help them be very productive. Probably not the biggest need. It's a kind of a gut feeling there from me, if I'm entirely honest. Defensive tackle, definitely a need. Dan Williams is gone. He was a solid run plugger. Need to get a bit more help there. Teams could run on them last year. And also, running back, Latavius Murray is fine. He's still a free agent. A lot of talk, of course, about them potentially bringing in Adrian Peterson. Even if they do that, you don't know what you're going to get from Peterson coming off the injury, 32. You wouldn't necessarily bet against him, but you definitely want to get another option in there as well, especially because Peterson does not offer really much, if anything, in regards to the passing game. This team is another one of those that's been quiet to say. Seems to be an ongoing theme with this division. Cordarrelle Patterson, he signed. He may see some play as a wide receiver. I don't know. He seems to be a gadget player, really, in terms of the offensive side of the ball. Hasn't developed as a wide receiver at all in his time in this league with the Vikings. 2 years, $8 million. I mean, if they're bringing him that kind of money, he must be expected to do something. As a wide receiver, you're not going to pay that kind of money to a return man. Of course, he'll improve their return game. Still a fantastic player in that aspect. Other than that, Marshall Newhouse being brought in, a bit more depth for the offensive line. 2 years, $3.5 million. That's just, he's a backup, he's experienced, solid move. The offensive line was a great strength. This just gives them a bit more depth. Can't complain about that one. In terms of losses, been a fair bit of movement out. Nate Allen, that's no loss. He was a disaster in his time in Oakland. DJ Hayden hasn't performed, been a bust. They need to replace him because they do need corners. But I don't think that's going to be a massive challenge. Menelik Watson never really developed inexperience when he was drafted. Drafted physical skill set that never really came along. Stacey McGee went to the Redskins. He was overpaid. So, nothing particularly major there. And Malcolm Smith, one of the worst contracts of the off-season, has gone to the Niners. He was a liability for them last season. I'm sure Raiders fans will not be sad about that particular one. Still got a few guys out there. Perry Riley, the linebacker, I expect to see him come back. He's okay, played fine. They might be hoping to do better in the draft. But I think he's one of the better options at the middle linebacker spot available at this moment in time. Andre Holmes, okay wide receiver. You can do better there, I think. He might come back again, but he's just a guy. Latavius Murray, Michael Rivera, who've both been somewhat productive in their time in Oakland, but again, they're not spectacular players. Murray's just a mediocre power back. I know like 2 years ago he was near the top of the league in rushing. That was because of the amount he was used. Solid player, don't get me wrong. Again, could see him coming back, but I feel like if you want to contend, you probably want to be doing a bit better than him. And Matt McGloin, I don't know if he'll be coming back. They quite like the rookie as their backup. So not a huge amount there to work with. I'm expecting, they're going to be hoping to continue to build through the draft. They've still got a ton of cap room. You never know, maybe they're trying to come up with some kind of crazy trade, which I would have thought would have been more likely, if Al Davis was still there. Shame about Al Davis not there to see this team, finally rise back to prominence. A lot of fun to watch. So I think the Chiefs are the favourites simply because of the consistency and quality of that roster. However, if Carr can replicate what he was doing, he really did carry this team, and they weren't as good as that record. Won a lot of shootouts, a lot of games solely on the strength of Derek Carr's arm. So, comes back healthy. His team will be fun to watch once again. Should be at the worst competing for a wild card spot, you'd think. Expect them to, be a very defense heavy draft from them. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me with my assessment? Again, as I say, expect to be a strong offensive side. Defensively, they got a couple of great players. Obviously, Khalil Mack, that side needs to be improved. Do you think this is a team that's Super Bowl ready? Do you think there's a window there starting, from the beginning of this season? Let me know. Respond below. I'm as happy as I'm sure you Raiders fans are to see this team being, competent again. It's good for the league, I think. I hope they don't move next year, of course. But yeah, they're definitely going to be a fun one to watch. They'll be one of the teams I definitely pay a lot of attention to this upcoming season. As always, feel free to message me. I'll do my best to get back to everyone, whether it's via Twitter, the comment section below, or via the Facebook group. Like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff. It's thoroughly appreciated if you do. If you enjoyed this show, please check out the rest. This is the last one in the series. If you're watching this one, every other team has been covered by myself. Check those out. It's been a pleasure as always, and go Bucks.